What's up, buddy? How you doing? How you feeling? I'm doing all right. It's late. It's 1 o'clock in the morning right now. And why am I up at 1 o'clock in the morning? Well, one, my life is a mess, and I'm on a terrible sleep schedule. But two, because I went to the late premiere of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I got to see it a couple days early. When does this movie come out? Friday? I got to see it today on Monday. Ooh, I'm one of those access journalists now. Not really. A buddy snuck me in. Now, I'll say this, though. I did have the access media experience. I am a shill. Disney gave me a free bag of popcorn and a free soda. And that's why I'm giving Black Panther 10 out of 10. No, I'm not doing that. Look, you can decide whether or not my access media shill, experience means I'm going to be too nice to this movie. But I like to think I'm a very fair and balanced movie critic, and I'm going to tell you what I thought. Hopefully you believe me. Hopefully you trust your boy Vito. We're going to talk about it. Before we do, hit that button, subscribe to the channel. And here's my review of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Let's get it out of the way. Good movie. Great movie? Debatable. Some people are going to love this movie. Now, different movies speak to different people. Me, as a jaded white boy, let's say a movie like Joker might speak more to me, where I go, yeah, society's keeping me down. This movie is going to speak to a different sort of person, but I think it does it expertly. I think if you're the type of person that this movie is specifically crafted for, you might call it a 10 out of 10. Me, jaded little white boy, I want to see society burn. I don't want to learn a lesson about, family and grief. I'm still going to give it a solid. And I don't normally do the numbers because it's convoluted, but I keep coming back to this number in my head. 8 out of 10, which is a good score for me because I'm a jaded guy. I hate a lot of things. And I did not hate this movie. I was worried going into it. Why was I worried? 2 hours, 40 minutes. I went, are you kidding me? Because I remember that first Black Panther, which I did not like. It is a lot. That was it's just a mess of a movie. I think Chadwick the Boseman, was an excellent actor, and he did a great job as that character. But ultimately, the one movie he got, aside from the Killmonger stuff, which was very cool, and Michael B. Jordan's a great actor, aside from that, I don't know. They went to China for some reason. There's a terrible car chase. I remember nothing from that movie. Then they fight rhinos. I didn't like it. This movie I liked, and it's weird. This is a weird movie. It's a weird movie because on one hand, it's like a very dark and almost serious movie about dealing with grief and loss. Obviously, talking about the loss of not only Chadwick Boseman, but in the movie, King T'Challa, the Black Panther, is dead. And his sister must come to terms with that. And she's the central character of the story. It's all about her coming to terms with grief. And it's a dark and depressing theme. The problem is, it's then layered on top of big, stupid CGI spectacle and dumb action movie, whatever, where it gets complicated. And I love big, stupid CGI spectacle, and I love dumb action movie. It's like a peanut butter and marinara sandwich. It's like, I like both those things. Do they go together? Kind of. It's not a perfect meeting of the minds, but it gets there. Now, I have been instructed from the Disney Corporation. Let me see if I have this email here. In order to give audiences around the world to enjoy our movies to the fullest and allow them to discover any surprises and plot twists, we respectfully ask that you refrain from revealing spoilers, cameos, character developments, and detailed story points in your coverage. So, I'm a little limited in what I can talk about. I got to play the game. If I piss off Disney, look, normally I wouldn't care. I would go, fuck Disney. Here's every single thing that happens in the movie. But a buddy got me into the screening, and if I get him in trouble, he's going to be very upset. So I have to talk in kind of broad terms, but I think we can do that. I'll say in broad terms, again, all the stuff dealing with grief and loss is very heavy, and it's handled very well. 15 minutes in this movie, and I always have to clarify this. I'm a big baby. I cry at movies all the time. Drop of a hat. I cried at Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt made me sob when his family went, we didn't even care about you, Joe Dirt. We left you by the side of the road. I'm like, how could they do that? They're monsters. 15 minutes into Black Panther, I was crying. I think I then cried another hour and a half into Black Panther. maybe the 2-hour mark, and then in the finale I cried 2 more times. Okay. I cried 5 times with Black Panther, and I don't feel bad saying that. Again, this is a movie that's dealing with a character, the main character Shuri, who has lost her father, the king, then lost her brother who became the king, and then ends up dealing with more grief, which I can't talk about because I'm barred as a reviewer. But ultimately, this is a woman who loses everything. And I looked up her name. Let me see if I still have it. What is the name of this actress? Letitia Wright is amazing. She's a fantastic actress. Every emotion she portrays is so believable. So when she's looking like her heart's been ripped out because everyone in her life keeps getting torn away from her, I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I'll be your new brother. I'll be the new Black Panther, little Black Panther lady. Don't you worry. I'm here for you. I was like so sad for her. She's a fucking phenomenal actress. I think she's a nut job in real life, or whatever. But that's fine. Emmy nominated Letitia Wright. What did she win an Emmy for? I don't even know. But holy Lord, she knocked it out of the park. I'm also somebody, I've dealt with a lot of this grief in the past couple years. I've lost some family and friends during a certain health crisis. So maybe it hits me harder than other people. Maybe you won't be bawling in the theater. But I will say this, as a movie that was obviously going to pay respect to Mr. Chadwick Boseman, it does so very tastefully. It is never over the top. You don't get a CGI Chadwick showing up and giving her a hug or anything stupid like that. It's all handled perfectly. And if the movie was just about that, God, you'd have a great movie. The problem is, you have Namor. I'm going to say this movie has a problem. It's not a huge problem. It's a fine movie. And again, even for a 2 hour, 40-minute movie, there was never a point where I said, I'm bored. Turn this off. This is, skip this. But there was never anything like that. I wanted to go refill my soda. And I was like, I don't want to miss anything that's going on. Not every scene was like thrilling, but even scenes that weren't great, they had the sense to cut them short. Here was my big problem with the movie. Now, I like Marvel Comics. I'm not a huge Marvel Comics guy, but I've read some Marvel Comics in my day. Character that I really like. I don't think about it a lot, but when this movie came around, I went, you know what? I really do like Namor. Prince Namor, King of Atlantis, or whatever the hell. Is it Atlantis in Marvel, or is it always... that was one thing I was confused about, because in this movie, it's not Atlantis. Yeah, he's the king of Atlantis. In this movie, it's called like Tuk Tuk or Klundar or something stupid because he's now a Mayan. They've added this Mayan element to the movie. The reason they've done this is that Namor shows up to the Wakandans. I mean, this is not major spoiler territory, but basically the entire world is fighting over vibranium. Everyone wants vibranium. The only people who have vibranium are the Wakandans and... they're not Atlanteans, whatever they are in this movie, Tuktukians, okay, who are Mayan, basically. They're descendants of Mayans. So he basically goes to Wakanda and he goes, listen, man, white people keep trying to take your magic metal. Now they're coming after my magic metal, which I have under the ocean. We should be allies against the horrible colonizers. So it's kind of trying to do this, hey, white people fucked up the brown people's world, and white people fucked up the black people's world. Maybe these two tribes should get together and fight the white people. And it's all about, well, are they going to get together? Is she going to join together with Namor? The problem is the guy playing Namor sucks my balls. Tenoch Huerta. Now, I could be biased again because I'm a big fan of the portrayal in the, in the comics, where Namor is a little skinny twink swimmer guy. Sometimes he's been depicted as super buff, but it seems like his more modern incarnations, he's kind of has a swimmer's build. He's like a skinny little dude who it's like actually super scary, the idea of a skinny little dude who can like lift cars over his head and like chase you through the water. You're like, why is this skinny guy chasing me? Like that'd be terrifying. Like a big guy comes at you, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get my ass kicked. You kind of know what to expect. Like a skinny guy comes for you, and you're like, he's gonna be a pussy. And all of a sudden, he's like lifting boulders and throwing them at your head. You're like, oh my god, I'm fucked. Like I thought that was way more interesting. I also think the comic book Namor is more interesting because he's very regal. He takes this whole King of Atlantis thing very seriously. This is my kingdom. This is my domain. No man shall ever tread in the realm of Atlantis, and I am eternally at war with the surface dwellers. In this movie, he's lacking that kind of regal quality. He almost kind of feels like a beach bum dipshit. Like he's not smart. He's not nearly as smart as he should be. He's not as commanding as he should be. And his plan is bad. His plan of like, Wakanda, unite with me and fight against the surface dwellers, or I'll kill one of you, or I'll kill all of you. And it's like, well, they're not gonna. It's not how you win allies. It's basically like, join with me, or I'll kill the princess and I'll kill all you. I'm like, that's bad diplomacy, Namor. That's not. It would have been more interesting if he had actually presented to them a very like, listen, we are subject. The rest of the world will stop at nothing to get our vibranium. I'm your only hope, to be an ally, and together we will destroy these realms of men who have subjugated us for so long. Instead of being a kind of a sympathetic villain, he's kind of portrayed as a little bit stupid, a little not calculating enough. That he's, a little mad, too ruthless. He does fly around with the little wings on his feet. Again, I like that, though, because, again, that's horrifying. People are like, that's dumb. He's got wings on his feet. He can fly. I'm like, bro, if you were walking down the street and you saw a dude with wings on his feet just staring at you menacingly and then just started flying towards you while still standing straight up, just like his arms crossed, you go, and just like flee down the street. So that works for me. Anyway, what does not work is I think Namor is dumb, and the movie just does not build up Atlantis in an interesting way. It turns into fighting a bunch of guys wearing blue paint on their skin, or maybe it was CG'd in. I don't know. All this time that the movie spends dealing with the grief and the Wakandan culture and other character I'll get into in a second. If they had spent more time building up the individual Atlanteans, not just Namor, but like his generals and his culture and whatever else, this could have been a lot more interesting if we really saw that culture. Instead, you get the typical little, what do you want to say, montage where Shuri goes under the water and it's, ooh, look, it's like Ariel and the Little Mermaid. Isn't it magical down here? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It actually, honestly, though, it looks like crap. That's another problem with this movie. CG is all over the place. I was looking at the credits, and I was like, how many different CG houses worked on this thing? I want to say there was at least 20 different CG units. Like one place in Australia, one place will be in New Zealand, a couple in China, one in Korea. Like basically every different scene gets farmed out to a different CG house. The problem is some of these guys are good at their jobs. Some of these guys are not. Or some of these guys got more time to work on the shots. Other guys maybe only had a couple months. This is the kind of thing where you go, in a perfect world, they would have pushed this movie out another 6 months, shelled out the extra money to really polish up the bad CG, because there's some very bad CG in this movie. But we have to be real. These are products. These are made to make money. And at a certain point, there is a diminishing return where, yes, they could spend additional millions of dollars on the CG, but are the majority of moviegoers going to care? Probably not. It's probably not worth the investment. It's probably better to go, yeah, it looks good enough. This is a discussion we need to have more of. A lot of people will tackle these movies and bring them down where they go, well, this CG doesn't look perfect. This CG doesn't look perfect. And it goes, yeah, but in the long run, you really can't knock the movies too much. If the CG is like horrendously bad, yes. But if it's just a little wonky, if a couple shots are off, I really can't expect them to spend the money fixing the one shot of Namor jumping into the water, because most people aren't going to care. I'm going to care. Most people aren't going to care. Probably the worst shots, the shots that stuck out to me the most. Well, first of all, I don't know why we keep doing underwater battles, underwater movies. It always looks bad. Anything underwater looks stupid. Water effects always look terrible, I think. And a lot of this movie is, again, fighting these Atlantean guys underwater, and He's going through the waves. It's just all, I don't know. It looks like trash. I think if you're going to do underwater, you kind of have to do it. And I think Aquaman did it well, but it's been a while since seeing Aquaman. You really need to make it like not go for a realistic underwater look, because underwater looks boring and dull most of the time. You have to do like, super glitzy and lights shining through and all. They didn't do that. It looks muddy and terrible. The other terrible CG is there's a couple shots where somebody will take off their CGI face mask. A couple different characters have like armor at one point, and they press the button and the thing retracts and you see the actor underneath. Whoa, man. Like, I could see their I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but I was like, bro, you can see that their face is not tracked to the helmet they're wearing. So like their face would be like moving before the helmet moved with it. It looked real bad. Not good. I don't know why you can't we keep saying this tomorrow. Just put half a helmet on them and then CGI over that. But don't CGI the whole goddamn helmet. It looks ridiculous. All right. Now, there's one character I haven't mentioned. Is Ironheart. And this is not a spoiler. We know this. We saw this in the poster. Disney can't get mad at me for talking about Ironheart. A lot of people on the internet. This is one of these things. This is one of these movies where I go, I kind of hope that the whole like anti-woke crowd can just like get over it. Like, I really hope they don't feel the need to be like, well, this character, blah, 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 is just an example of, I don't know, toxic feminism or something. Because there's really nothing like that. Nothing about any of these characters struck me as woke. The only wokeness you're going to get out is, again, it's a little bit, there's a minor colonizer narrative of all the white countries are trying to steal vibranium from Wakanda. I'm getting a little off track, but regardless, as you know, we're not going to analyze this movie on this channel the way Ryan Coogler analyzed Batman, where he counted how many black characters were good and how many white characters were good, and then said, well, there's too many good black characters in Batman. Because if you really want to go through it, I think there's one good white character in the movie. There might be, well, I don't know if those guys are technically, yeah, there's one good white character in the movie. And then there's like probably dozens of bad white people in the movie. But that's not really the focus. The focus, again, is on the war between Mayans and Africans, between black and brown. So, I don't know. If you want to say it's woke to have a very minor colonizer narrative, there is one point where we revisit some of the atrocities that happened against the Mayans. So we do dig into that briefly. But that was the Spanish. You see a flashback of the Mayans fighting the Spanish or whatever else. I don't know. Can we not have any real politics in these movies, or they're woke? Is that the problem? I'm really hoping that this crowd does not take these very minor themes and go, just more woke garbage from the Disney machine, because honestly, it's not, none of that's even that important to the plot. It's not the focus. But one character I'm worried they're going to complain about, because they complain about her comic book character, is Ironheart. Ironheart is a black girl who is, I guess, inspired by Iron Man. A lot of them say, well, they're trying to replace a strong white male character like Iron Man with this black girl. No, it's just she's inspired by him. She wants to make her own Iron Man armor. And her origin here is different from the comic book origin, which I think they're all mad about. She's just a very gifted MIT student who happens to be building Iron Man armor. There's nothing woke about that. I don't even know why we got to talk about this woke stuff, but I feel like we have to, because that's what 90% of YouTube criticism is now. Is it woke? Was it woke? A woke disaster is coming. So no, her character is not woke. That being said, her character is not great. I think Ironheart was pretty darn weak. This was a very weak introduction to her character. She serves a function in the plot. I'll say that they made it so that her character is relevant to what's going on. She isn't just jammed in there at random. But ultimately, she's kind of just a passenger who's along for the ride. Yeah, her character was just not exciting. Occasionally, she would get to contribute to a nice little quip. There are some nice jokes in this movie. The audience was laughing, and I was laughing along with them at a couple good moments. But ultimately, she was just very unmemorable as a character. In fact, the only thing I remember about her, really, is that her suit of armor looked fucking terrible. The Ironheart armor, I was like, honestly, I thought the effects for the armor looked worse than the original Iron Man. even when they cut to people inside, you know how they do the shot? It would be like Robert Downey Jr.'s face, and he's looking around at all the HUD, heads-up displays surrounding him or whatever. Even the heads-up display shots looked cheap. It looked like a fan film. So I don't know. The CG in this movie was severely lacking. Some of it looks good. A lot of it looks like trash. That being said, the practical costumes and effects and actors, all the tribes of Wakanda and all that look incredible. So the practical stuff, they nailed it. The CGI looks bad. Okay, well, what else can I say about this movie without getting into spoiler territory? Is that it comes down to, again, this Namor versus Shuri, Wakanda versus Atlantis fight. There is a very exciting and unexpected cameo, which I cannot mention. It's a character you've already seen. When he showed up, I went, that's very smart where this movie is going. This movie goes to some dark places, because Shuri, in dealing with her grief, is very much, am I going to be, the great Black Panther leader of Wakanda, or am I going to be a dark spirit out for vengeance and kill everyone responsible for doing these horrible things to my family? And she's kind of wrestling with that. And it's very interesting that it goes that way. You're going to see how that happens. You're going to learn who Namor is. At one point, he says the thing I probably can't repeat. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say. I will say this, there's no after credit sequence, which is fine. This movie ends on a very somber note, again, talking about T'Challa, the death of Chadwick Boseman, whatever else, life goes on, dealing with your grief, picking up the pieces. Thankfully, it doesn't segue into, and here's what the Guardians of the Galaxy are doing. It's like, no, would not have fit the tone of that ending at all. Also great to see, what's her name back? Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Oh, shit. Am I supposed to say that? Never mind. I didn't say it. She's not in the movie either. Don't worry about it. Okay, now I'm getting into spoiler territory. Point is, this is going to be a polarizing movie, I think. I think this will be a very popular movie. I think people are going to want to see this. It's going to get great reviews. I think it'll do very solid at the box office. The black audience... Is it racist to talk about the black audience? Regardless, the black audience has said, we like Black Panther and we want more of it, and Marvel has responded in kind, and I think the black audience is going to very much be out in force for this film. I hope the white audience comes out as well, but I have to warn you, if you're looking for a popcorn, chomping, mind-numbing Black Adam type thing, you're not going to get it here. You're getting a film which is far more intimate and exciting. It is exciting that Marvel has reached this kind of experimental period where they aren't putting out these by-the-book blockbusters, that they're letting the directors put kind of a personal stamp on it. And Ryan Coogler very much puts a personal stamp on this movie. There are some creative decisions that are fantastic in terms of imagery, in terms of soundtrack, stuff that got me legitimately excited and honestly made me ashamed that I haven't been watching real movies, that I've been watching so much trash over the past couple of years. And I'm like, shit, I forgot movies could like really hit you, It could really like have imagery and scenes and visuals and dialogue that hits you with more than, oh, we're in trouble, let's use our super laser to, like, I felt ashamed coming out of the movie going, I gotta go watch real films again. This movie still has some of the stupid visual spectacle and the lasers and the whatever else, but it is interspersed with some very exciting filmmaking that makes you want to go watch real movies again. Ultimately, again, I would say 8 out of 10. In terms of Marvel movies, might even bump it up to an 8.5. Definitely better than the original Black Panther, better than the majority of the cookie cutter Marvel stuff. It's just exciting to see a director again, Ryan Coogler made $1 billion in the first Black Panther, and Marvel basically kind of gave him a blank check on this one. They're like, go nuts. You want to make it 2 hours and 40 minutes? Okay, whatever. Like, you know what you're doing. And some of that I very much agree with. There's stuff that I'm excited that he was given that leeway. I do think somebody could have reined him in and been like, all right, listen, you're letting this plot drag on a little bit. It's not so tight. All this Atlantis stuff. Although they might have forced the Atlantis stuff on him. I'm worried that they came to him and they're like, hey, can you put Namor in this one? Again, I think Namor is the weakest part of the movie. But all the stuff of just a family dealing with tragedy, trying to keep things going, trying to keep a kingdom going, a nation, a people going in the absence of their king, of their beloved son. Very good, very powerful, and I very much enjoyed this movie. Anyway, that's my review of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I think it's a good movie. If you're looking for something that's a little more complex than your typical Marvel movie, go on in, but I will warn you, it's a sad movie. If you're like me, you're going to be like, oh, it is hard. It is hard to deal with all these emotions. I think the critical reception of this one is going to be very high. I think people are going to come out of this movie and really enjoy it. I look forward to seeing if people were as disappointed with this portrayal of Namor as I am. Again, I might be biased as someone who read the comics. That's always a problem. When you're a comics fan coming into the Marvel movie, you have to go, all right, I have to remember it's not exactly what I want. But I feel like compared to the actual character, it was a big misstep. And the biggest problem with this movie was that Namor just wasn't strong enough to carry that whole colonizer plot line, which is a really interesting idea. And I wish they had gotten deeper into it. Sadly, they did not. But again, everything else I really enjoyed. Fantastic performances all around. So many great actors. Hopefully they go on to make real movies and not just Marvel trash. I like Marvel movies. But again, I felt guilty watching this movie and remembering that these actors are capable of so much more than putting on a CGI suit and fighting blue people. We got more videos coming soon. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. And please check out my comic book, Super Killer, coming soon. I want you to check out a promo for that right here. Now, if you're like me, you've probably found yourself getting a bit tired of all these superhero movies. Sure, we occasionally get something good like Spider-Man, but we also get crap like Wonder Woman 1984, The Eternals, or that godforsaken Hellboy reboot. Point is, maybe you're getting tired of watching these checkbox diversity characters putting on silly costumes and fighting CGI aliens. Maybe you've found yourself watching the latest round of Cape shit and thought, man, I wish some guy with a big gun would just show up and shoot all these motherfuckers in the head. Well, buddy, have I got the comic book for you. Super Killer is a man with a mission, and that mission is to shoot superheroes in the fucking head. Immortal alien gods? Bam, headshot. Adorable magical girls? Bam, headshot. Batman, you want him to kill Batman? No, we can't use Batman. DC Comics owns Batman. But here's a guy who looks kind of like Batman. Bang! Right in the fucking head. Super Killer is a hilarious dark comedy written by one of the greatest comedic talents of the 21st century. Me. I wrote it. It also features incredible artwork by Keter LeBeau, the most beautiful man in Mexico. Point is, this is going to be the greatest comic book ever written, but we can't make it without your help. Check the link in the description and sign up for our mailing list. That way, when our crowdfunding campaign goes live, you'll be among the first in line to get yourself a copy of this glorious blood-soaked comic book masterpiece. Super Killer Book 1. Because for humanity to live, the Superman must die.